Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you're new to the channel, then welcome. And today we are going to be looking at my top tips for running a faster 10k. These are all the things I've learned over the last 10 years and helped me get my 10k time down from 61 minutes, which was my first ever 10k, down to just last year, I got down to 43 minutes. So hopefully you can gather some information from these tips. It helps improve your 10k time. Let's get on with it. So first, just a little bit of background. I ran my first ever 10k back in 2013 on the back of basically no preparation. I think I'd run a few park runs. I'd only just started running a couple months and I wanted to try a 10k out. So I entered a 10k, turned up, and I managed to run it in 61 minutes. So, well, say run, I think I finished the first 5k in just under 25 minutes, which was about PB time at that time in my life. And then basically just completely bonked, hit the wall with obviously zero preparation. Ended up running the last 5k in about 36 minutes. So that was my first ever 10k. And then obviously last year I've set a new lifetime PB. So at the start of last year, 2022, my lifetime PB was 48 minutes, which was set in 2018. And at the start of 2022 I ran a 49-minute 10k, and I was marathon training last year, so I was hoping to knock off some time. And yeah, by the end of the year, with the help of Project 10k, if you haven't watched that, click on the playlist. I did a little 10-week intensive 10k training program, and I managed to get my 10k time down to new lifetime PB of 43 minutes 5 seconds. So I knocked off 6 minutes in just last year alone, 5 minutes off my lifetime PB, and obviously from the very get-go I've knocked off nearly 20 minutes. So these 5 tips are on the back of that, what I've learned over the last, say, 10 years on and off, hints and tips I picked up from other people, and I believe my opinion, these 5 tips are going to be helpful to most runners to help you improve your times. Specifically in the 10k, I have done another vlog about 5k tips. Again, click on that video if you haven't watched that one. Some of them are fairly similar because the 10k and the 5k aren't all that different. They're both pretty quick events. So, but yeah, let's get straight into it. So the 10k is I find it a bit of an interesting, tricky distance. A 5k you can pretty much go almost as fast as you can, like a pretty hard effort, and try and hold that for the 5k, 3 miles. 10k's obviously double that, and I find it's a distance where you can't quite do that. If you go out too fast, you will hit a wall and completely crash and lose more time than you gained at the start. So it's one of the interesting distances. I find it's probably one of the most key indicators for fitness. So if you can run a good 10k, then you're pretty fit and healthy. 5k's, I'd say, they're quite short to some extent, and halves and half marathons and marathons are long enough where you deliberately go at a slower pace to try and make sure you cover the distance. So 10k is one of the more complex distances to kind of manage. So yeah, these tips, again, it's my opinion, what I've kind of picked up on and what has helped me, and hopefully will obviously help you as runners. So in no particular order, first one, again, I preach about this if you haven't watched my other videos. I always find the more I run, the faster I run. So again, the first one's aerobic base. You need a good solid aerobic base, like I proved on my first 10k running 61 minutes. If it's not there, it's just not there, and you're going to struggle to run at a pace you want to run at. So aerobic base obviously is just getting out, getting your mileage done, running consistently at a nice conversational pace. Just get some miles in, build that base, get your legs used to running, let your heart and lungs adapt to your running, and over a bit of time you'll build that aerobic base up. The more you run, obviously the fitter you get, but you've got to do that incrementally and safely. So if you're just starting out, use the 10% rule and don't jump up more than 10% from the week before. But yeah, start with aerobic base, get that built up, and I always find you're automatically going to be at a better level, so that when you are pushing for PBs and 10k times, you're in a far better position to be able to do that. My fastest runs, PBs, etc. have always been on the back of good, solid, consistent running for a period of time. Me, like everybody else, if I stop running or reduce my mileage, my fitness and times are always going to be affected. So yeah, first one, aerobic base, get that built up as a new runner or a beginner. Okay, so next tip, it's complementary to the first one. So the first one's obviously build your aerobic base, run consistently, run at a steady state, hold that pace and just keep getting some mileage in. Second one is speed work. So again, 10k being that complex distance, you need your 5k speed, but you need some endurance, which is why you need both these two first tips. You need a good endurance level and a good aerobic base, but you also need to be able to move pretty quick. So you need to put some speed work in. Again, this is all relative to the individual runner. What someone might find fast, someone else might find slow, and etc. So relative to you, do some speed work. That could be intervals, fartlek, which is running at various speeds within a run. Intervals is like doing short bursts of speed, 200 meters, 400 meters, half a k, half a mile, whatever. Just do a bit of a burst of speed, get your recovery in, whether that be running or jogging, floating, or walking recovery, or even stationary recovery. But you do need to work on some speed. It helps your legs turn over a little bit quicker, gets you used to running at a faster pace than just when you're running along like I am now, and therefore it's not a shock when you jump into a PB attempt or a race attempt or a max effort, and that your legs are turning over much quicker than you're used to. They'll be used to turning over pretty quick. So that's number two, speed work. Like I said, 10k for most people is going to be sub-threshold. So threshold being obviously a pace you can hold for an hour and no more. So for a lot of people have got aims to get a 10k below that time, so it's going to be quicker than threshold. So it's obviously going to be quite not maximal effort, but it's going to be a concerted effort. So you need to get your endurance up, you need to get your speed work done as well. So there's first two tips, and that rolls me straight into tip number three, which again is something I've worked on more and more recently, and I've found the benefits of it. Number three is going to be cadence. Cadence being obviously steps per minute, how many steps you take every minute. The higher the cadence, the more efficient you are as a runner, and therefore generally the quicker you can move along. Think of it like if you're taking long strides and you're bounding along, every time your foot hits the floor you're almost braking and slowing yourself down. Pushes far more impact on your legs and your muscles and your joints. The shorter, quicker steps feels counterintuitive at the start, but is much more efficient. Think of road runner skipping along, fast feet. Yeah, so cadence is something you can work on. I used to think it was kind of predetermined, but you can work on it in short bursts within a run. Again, the higher the cadence, the more benefit you get. All the fastest runners in the world have got generally a cadence of above 180. Most runners will be within the 150 to 170 range, and anything above 170 is classed as obviously beneficial. I used to run within that 160, 165 range, and with a bit of work now, I generally run within the 170 to 175 range, so my running is slightly more efficient. Still got work to do, but yeah, so if you check, most watches will track cadence if it's a fairly modern watch. If not, you can do it yourself. Just count over a 30-second period how many times one foot hits the ground, and then times that by 4 for both feet over the minute. But yeah, the higher the cadence, obviously the more benefit. If you do work on it, you will start to see kind of immediate benefits. If you just do little bits of work here and there, it feels counterintuitive at the start, taking shorter steps, but then as you move back up to normal pace and normal running, it integrates itself back into your normal running pattern. That's what I found, and everything becomes a bit more easy. Paces that used to be feel fairly difficult feel slightly easier. Your easy pace feels even easier, and therefore when you're running quickly, that should feel slightly easier as well. So point number 3 is cadence. Okay, so number four is going to be vary your running. That's tip number 4. By that I mean don't just do the same things. So don't just go out on the same distance, run at the same pace, and just continually repeat that. That will provide a few benefits initially, but you will plateau pretty quick. So there's a whole host of different types of runs you can do, from threshold runs, which is a pace you can hold for an hour, to fartlek, which is vary the pace within a run, tempo runs, so pick a set pace and stick to that, pyramid runs where you get faster and then slower, progression runs where you start slow and get quicker throughout, easy runs where you're just running at a nice conversational pace, maybe with someone else, recovery runs, which is similar, where you're deliberately running slowly to get your legs recover, max efforts and PB attempts, again they speak for themselves. So, and again, distance wise, don't just do the same distance. I know you're training for a 10k potentially, but you don't just run the same distance over and over again, like the speed work in tip 2. Do some shorter, faster stuff, so 2, 3, 4k runs, not as fast as you can, but with much more speed than you normally would do. And then obviously do some 7, 8, 9k runs to build up that endurance. And with 10k being a relatively not short distance, because again, me myself back years ago, I used to class 10k as a long way. Nowadays, now I'm running more consistently and I'm running further. 10k is a nice, reasonable distance. But yeah, with it being a relatively short distance in speech marks, you can even go a bit further. So do 11, 12, 13k runs to be able to run past that 10k distance, which again will only help you build your aerobic base up, help you to improve that endurance and stamina within your legs. So that's what I'm talking about. So tip number 4 is just vary your runs, find different routes, run at different paces and run different distances, and this will all help build you as a runner holistically, make you a better rounded runner, make you stronger in a multitude of ways, and will only stand you in good stead when you're trying to knock that 10k time down. That's tip number 4. And then tip number 5, so last but not least, obviously it's in any order these, it's not really ranked in importance, these are all 5 equally important tips. But yeah, so tip number 5 for me is pacing. So again, don't make the mistakes I made and a lot of others make, and you set off quite quick, thinking get some time in the bank, and then if I slow down later on I'm ahead of schedule. Yes, you don't make that mistake of trying to get time in the bank and then thinking that's a benefit later on when you slow down, that you've got time in your head of your goal pace. You always lose more than you gained every time because you're running out faster than you used to. You get an oxygen deficit, your lungs and your hearts begin to struggle. I think it said hearts, you've only got one hopefully. Your lung and your heart begin to struggle, they can't get enough oxygen, you've got a deficit, they've got to make up for that deficit, and your legs then suddenly get heavy and you start to fatigue quickly, so you end up slowing down. No matter what you do and how hard you push, you can't make up for that. So pacing is important. You need to you know how far you're going 10k, 6.25 miles, so you need to pick a pace you can hold for that distance. So for K's it's simple, just pick a K pace that you know you can hold for 10 consecutive kilometers and stick to that. So whether that's 6 minutes or 7 minutes or 9 minutes or 3 minutes, it doesn't really matter. Yeah, so pick a pace you know you can hold for 10 kilometers or 6 miles. So if it's in kilometers, obviously like me, I'm a metric man. If you're old school and you do miles, then it could be, like I say, 7-minute miles, 8-minute miles, 9-minute miles, 10-minute miles, doesn't matter. What can you hold for 6 consecutive miles and stick to it? Don't be setting off on the first couple of kilometers faster than that. Like I said before, making that mistake. Stick to the pace, run it at that pace, and the second half should feel hard but manageable. So yeah, that's my last tip, pacing. Stick to a consistent pace throughout the race. Yeah, the fastest times are always run consistently. You never see a quick time really run would have set off too fast and tried to maintain it. Consistency is always the best, whether that be mileage or pace. So yeah, that's my last final tip. Thanks for watching all the way through to the end. Like I said, if you're not subscribed yet, consider doing so. Feel free to follow me on Strava as well. My half marathon training starts tomorrow. So yeah, follow along with that. I'm going to create a playlist for that. That'll be my first half marathon block of this year. One of 2. I'm going to run 2 half marathons this year. But yeah, follow along. Thank you for watching all the way through to the end. I'm going to get this run finished, and I'll see everyone on the next one. Oopsie daisy.